Now I'm going to show you how to make my all-time favorite plant burger. These are my smoky sweet potato burgers, and I'm going to show you a way to make them even easier. You won't have to flip them because we're going to bake them in a baking pan, and it's just easier. You cut them into squares, kind of like Wendy's, but a lot healthier. So we're going to start with, of course, sweet potatoes. And so I often have roasted sweet potatoes in my refrigerator because I like to batch cook, and I eat sweet potatoes every day for lunch. But if you don't, you can actually buy cubed sweet potatoes in the freezer section of many stores, including Walmart. You just want to defrost them, of course. So I'm going to place this in a bowl using a potato masher. You can see I have a combination of one that I cooked and the cube. You're just going to mash this up. One of the things I really like about this recipe is I don't have to cook anything on the stove. Not that there's anything wrong with doing that, but I'm basically lazy. And I find that most plant burger recipes, including some of mine, always require you to chop the onion and walk over to the stove and saute it. This is so easy because everything is done in one bowl. And then I'm going to add my broccoli. Since I eat sweet potatoes and broccoli pretty much every day for lunch, I always have them in my house. But you want to make sure the broccoli is well cooked so that it's really soft, because we're going to smush that too. Now you can use frozen broccoli just like you can use frozen sweet potatoes. The thing is you want to make sure that it is soft. Sometimes if you take broccoli and just defrost it without a little bit of cooking, say on the stove or the microwave, it actually doesn't smush easily. I did that once during a demo and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't get the broccoli to smush. So this is good. You can do it with both hands. Just get a little bit of a workout. It's already so pretty, orange and green. Just want everything smushed together. I suppose you could put this in a food processor to get it really finely pureed. The thing is I really try to cut down on how much I have to clean. So I love things that I can do in one bowl or in one pot, like an Instant Pot. And once it's fully smushed, I'm going to add the rest of my ingredients, which are 2 cups of cooked rice. It doesn't matter what color, whatever you have on hand. I like to get those microwavable bags that you see in many stores. They're organic and they come in brown and white, and they take only 3 minutes in the microwave. But you can also cook the rice from scratch if you want. Maybe I didn't defrost it all the way. That could be it. But you can see the broccoli is getting nice and incorporated. So then I'm going to add my rice. These are very, very satisfying and hearty and filling because you have the starch from the sweet potatoes, the starch from the rice, and the starch from the oats, which I'm going to add next. I have another pot to clean because we're not going to be cooking anything on the stove. And I've made these with brown rice and even leftover wild rice, really whatever you have, whatever you like. I'm going to add my scallions and my oats with all my wonderful spices, onion powder, garlic powder, smoked paprika, and chipotle powder. At this point, I will switch to a spatula, stir it all in. There's a few different ways you can cook this. You can take them into little balls that you roll with your hand, like for meatballs, if you're in a hurry, and air fry them. You can make them into burgers by shaping them either with a burger press or your hands. Usually I do about a half a cup of batter, but then you're going to have to cook them on one side and wait about 45 minutes and flip them. Sometimes I get too busy to flip. So I started just baking them in a 9-inch square silicone pan instead of doing it burgers on my silicone baking sheet. And it was so easy because although I had to increase the cooking time to 75 minutes, I didn't have to worry about flipping them. And I was able to get perfect squares. You can cut them whatever size you want. I tend to cut them into 16 squares and then serve 2 to each person. But a square burger actually fits quite nicely on a round bun. And so that's how I've been doing it lately, just because I like things to be easy. So you can see it's getting fully incorporated, everything nicely. It smells really good from that smoked paprika. If you had other spices you liked, you could use those instead. I always thought that this would be a great template for any burger. You could change the spices. You could make it an Indian style burger using curry, for example. I haven't done that yet because I just really love this flavor combination. And really, to me, burgers are really about what you put on them. It's not really so much about the burger. Burger's just a vehicle for all the toppings. And I love to put on things like barbecue sauce, sauerkraut, My husband likes to put on relish and mustard. So there we go. Now we'll put it in the pan. My oven is preheating to 350, to 400 actually, 400. And I'm just going to bake this for an hour and 15 minutes, 75 minutes. And I'm just going to press it down with my hands because it's a little easier. I can always do the little drop and plop, get it even. I've actually doubled this recipe or made it 1.5 times and baked it in a 9x13 as well when I'm serving a crowd. I sort of like these little pieces that are showing. Once they cook, it'll be very easy to eat. So I'm going to put this in the oven, and then when it's done, I'll show you what it looks like and how I eat it. So now that my smoky sweet potato burgers are done, let me show you how I like to eat them. There's no right or wrong way to eat them, but I like to put them open face on a pacha bun. This is a gluten-free bread that's not a lot of bread, and it's just made out of buckwheat and water, and I love it. I'm not a big condiment person, except for the condiments I like, which is barbecue sauce, which is my favorite. I love this one from I Love Date Lady because it has no sugar and very little salt. It's so thick, it doesn't even want to come out of the bottle. It's another good thing about it. So I'll just pour it on the bun. If you like ketchup, mustard, barbecue sauce, whatever your favorite condiment is, feel free to use it. I do love barbecue sauce. Sometimes before I bake this, I'll actually slather the top with barbecue sauce and bake it that way. So kind of like maybe your parents did with meatloaf a long time ago. So whatever size you like, I get 16 little squares that fit on my bun, but of course adjust it to the size of your bun. Just take a little spatula. Nothing wrong with having square burgers. They come out nice and firm. These freeze great, and then I can just defrost them and put them in the air fryer. My other favorite condiment is sauerkraut. So that's what I put on top of mine. Hey, if you need round burgers, go ahead. Knock yourself out. It's just so much easier this way. This is like a party in my mouth. 2 delicious smoky sweet potato burgers.